Welcome, dear listener. As you settle into the comfort of your bed, let your mind drift and your body relax. Tonight, I invite you to embark on a peaceful journey to the kingdom of Australis, a land where stars dance in the night sky and ancient prophecies whisper through the air. Breathe deeply. Let go of the worries of the day and allow the soft glow of this tale to guide you toward a restful sleep. Close your eyes as we begin the story of Prince Elion, a young prince destined to fulfill a prophecy under the watchful gaze of the stars. With the celestial staff in hand, his journey will take him beyond the limits of the earth into the very heart of the heavens themselves. So relax, let the stars light your way, and drift gently into slumber as we tell this magical tale. In the heart of Australis, a kingdom nestled beneath a tapestry of twinkling stars. The air was thick with anticipation. Whispers of an ancient prophecy had spread through the kingdom like wildfire, igniting both hope and fear in the hearts of its people. The prophecy, inscribed on the walls of the oldest temple, foretold of a time when darkness would descend upon the land and only a chosen one could restore the light. This chosen one, it was said, would wield the celestial staff, a relic of unimaginable power to guide the stars themselves. Prince Elion, the youngest son of King Aldrich, stood before the grand doors of the temple. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing the uncertainty that had plagued him since the prophecy had been revealed. The kingdom's seer, an elderly woman with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of the ages, had summoned him here, insisting that he was the one destined to fulfill the prophecy. Elion's hands clenched into fists as he hesitated at the threshold. He was no warrior like his older brothers, nor did he possess the scholarly knowledge of his father's advisors. He was, by all accounts, an ordinary prince, more comfortable in the quietude of the palace gardens than in the throes of a great adventure. Yet the weight of destiny had been placed upon his shoulders, and there was no turning back. The grand doors creaked open, revealing the dimly lit interior of the temple. The seer stood in the center, her frail form draped in robes as dark as the night sky. In her hands, she held a staff unlike any Elion had ever seen. It was slender and tall, its surface polished to a mirror-like sheen, reflecting the flickering light of the torches that lined the temple walls. At its tip, a crystal orb pulsed with a soft, ethereal glow, as if it contained the very essence of the stars. "Step forward, Prince Elion." The seer's voice echoed through the chamber, carrying a tone of authority that left no room for doubt. Elion obeyed, his steps hesitant but resolute. As he approached, the seer extended the staff towards him, and the moment his fingers brushed against it, a surge of energy coursed through him. It was as if the very heavens had come alive within him, filling him with a sense of purpose and power he had never known before. "The celestial staff," the seer intoned, "is no mere weapon. It is a guide, a key to the heavens themselves. With it, you will command the stars, navigate the constellations, and uncover the truths hidden within the cosmos. But beware, young prince, for this journey will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine." Elion's grip tightened around the staff as the seer's words settled over him like a shroud. The gravity of his task became clear. He was to embark on a journey not just through the physical world, but through the very fabric of the universe. The fate of Astralis, and perhaps all of creation, rested in his hands. "Why me?" Elion's voice was barely more than a whisper, his doubts surfacing in the face of such immense responsibility. "Because the stars have chosen you," the seer replied, her gaze piercing into his soul. "And the stars do not choose lightly." With those words, the seer turned and began to chant in a language as old as time itself. The temple's walls shimmered with celestial light, and the stars outside seemed to burn brighter, as if they too were aware of the momentous journey that was about to begin. As the chant reached its climax, the temple doors swung open, revealing the night sky in all its glory. The constellations twinkled above, their patterns forming a map that only the celestial staff could decipher. Elion took a deep breath, his resolve hardening. The time had come to embrace his destiny. With the celestial staff in hand and the stars as his guide, Prince Elion stepped out into the night, ready to begin a journey that would take him beyond the limits of his imagination and into the very heart of the heavens. The night sky stretched out before Prince Elion, vast and infinite, a sea of stars that twinkled with silent promise. The celestial staff pulsed gently in his hand, its light ebbing and flowing like the breath of the universe itself. With each step he took away from the temple, the staff seemed to grow warmer, as if it were awakening to its true purpose. Elion paused at the edge of the forest that bordered the temple grounds. The ancient trees loomed like sentinels, their branches swaying in a breeze that whispered secrets only the wind could understand. He glanced up at the sky, where the constellations seemed to shift and shimmer, forming patterns that he had never noticed before. It was as though the heavens were alive, guiding him forward. With a deep breath, Elion raised the celestial staff. The crystal at its tip flared with light, casting a radiant beam into the sky. The stars responded in kind, their brilliance intensifying until they formed a clear path. A celestial road that stretched across the heavens, leading him into the unknown. As Elion followed the path, the world around him began to change. The forest, once dark and foreboding, now glowed with a soft, otherworldly light. The trees seemed to bend and sway in rhythm with the stars, their leaves shimmering like silver in the moonlight. It was as if the very earth had been touched by the celestial magic, that now guided his steps. Suddenly, the air around him grew colder, and a figure emerged from the shadows. Tall and graceful, she was clad in robes woven from the night sky, her hair cascading like a waterfall of stars. Her eyes, deep and endless, held the wisdom of ages. Elion knew at once that this was no ordinary being. She was Astrea, the guardian of the constellations. "Prince Elion," she greeted him, her voice as melodic as the wind through the trees. "The stars have spoken of you. They have whispered your name across the heavens, and I have come to guide you." Elion bowed his head, humbled by her presence. "Astrea, guardian of the constellations, I am honored by your guidance, but I am still uncertain. The task before me feels too great for someone like me." Astrea smiled gently, her gaze never leaving his. "The stars do not choose based on what you are now, but what you have the potential to become. The journey you are on is one of discovery, of the universe, yes, but also of yourself. The celestial staff is your key to unlocking that potential." As she spoke, Astrea gestured to the sky. The constellations above them shifted once more, forming shapes that Elion recognized from the stories of old: Orion the hunter, Draco the dragon, and Lyra the harp. Each one came to life, their stars glowing with renewed brilliance, as if eager to share their wisdom. "These constellations will be your guides," Astrea continued. "Each holds a lesson, a truth that you must uncover as you journey through the stars. But be warned, young prince. These truths are not always easy to accept. Some may challenge your very understanding of the world and yourself." Elion felt the weight of her words, the gravity of the journey that lay ahead. But within him, a spark of determination ignited. He had been chosen for a reason, and he would not falter. "Thank you, Astrea," he said, his voice steady with resolve. "I will heed the guidance of the stars and uncover the truths they hold." Astrea nodded, her form beginning to fade into the starlit mist. "Remember, Elion, the stars are your allies, but they are also your mirror. What you see in them reflects what lies within you. Trust in the staff, trust in the stars, and trust in yourself." With those parting words, Astrea vanished, leaving Elion alone under the vast glittering sky. But he no longer felt alone. The stars above him were alive with promise, and the celestial staff pulsed with a warmth that reassured him. The journey was just beginning, and though the path was uncertain, Elion knew that he was not walking it alone. With newfound resolve, Elion continued onward, the constellation guide lighting his way. He would follow the stars wherever they led, for his destiny was written in their light, and his heart was now attuned to their song. The celestial road led Prince Elion deeper into the cosmos, far beyond the familiar constellations that watched over his homeland. The stars grew denser, their light weaving a tapestry of brilliance that filled the sky with an otherworldly glow. As he ventured further, the celestial staff in his hand began to hum with a low, steady vibration, guiding him toward a swirling mass of light and color that loomed on the horizon. It was the nebula, a cosmic storm of stardust and energy that pulsed with a life of its own. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying, a reminder of the vast power that lay within the heavens. Elion knew that this was his first true test, a trial that would challenge not just his courage, but his very understanding of the universe. The air around him grew heavy as he approached the heart of the nebula, the swirling gases and particles forming a barrier that seemed to resist his every step. But Elion pressed on, the celestial staff glowing brighter with each stride. He could feel the presence of someone within the nebula, a being of immense power that awaited his arrival. As he crossed the threshold into the nebula's core, the churning colors coalesced into a figure, tall, majestic, and made entirely of stardust. It was of the Starborn, a celestial being who guarded the secrets of the universe. Its eyes, glowing with the light of 1,000 suns, regarded Elion with a gaze that seemed to pierce through to his very soul. "Welcome, Prince of Astralis," the Starborn intoned, its voice a symphony of distant galaxies. "You stand at the entrance to the riddle of the nebula. Only those who possess the wisdom of the stars may pass." Elion's heart pounded in his chest, but he squared his shoulders, refusing to show fear. "I am ready," he declared, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions within him. The Starborn extended a hand, and with a wave, the swirling nebula condensed into a series of floating symbols, ancient, arcane, and shimmering with cosmic light. The symbols rearranged themselves into a complex puzzle, the likes of which Elion had never seen. "This is the riddle of the nebula," the Starborn explained. "It is a test of your intellect, your courage, and your understanding of the cosmos. Solve it, and the secrets of the stars will be revealed to you. Fail, and you will be lost within the nebula for eternity." Elion swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the challenge before him. But he knew he could not falter. Not now. He raised the celestial staff, allowing its light to wash over the puzzle. As the staff's glow illuminated the symbols, they began to pulse in response, as if communicating with one another. Elion focused on the symbols, letting the staff guide him. He could feel the wisdom of the stars flowing through him, unlocking doors in his mind that had been closed before. The symbols began to shift and rearrange, forming patterns that reflected the constellations above. Minutes passed like hours as Elion worked, his mind racing to decipher the puzzle. He felt as though he was on the brink of understanding, but the final piece remained elusive. Then, with a sudden flash of insight, he realized the truth. The riddle was not just about the stars, but about his connection to them. The staff, the stars, and he were one, bound by the same cosmic energy. With this understanding, Elion arranged the final symbols, completing the puzzle. The nebula responded with a surge of light, the symbols dissolving into a shower of stardust that swirled around him like a celestial dance. The starborn's gaze softened, a hint of approval in its radiant eyes. You have proven your worth, Prince Elion. The stars have accepted you as their guide. Remember the truth you have uncovered here, for it will serve you well in the trials to come. As the nebula began to dissolve around him, revealing the starlit path ahead, Elion felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had passed the first trial, not just by solving the riddle, but by understanding the deeper connection he shared with the cosmos. The journey was far from over, but he was no longer the uncertain prince who had left Astralis. He was now a seeker of the stars, with the celestial staff as his compass and the heavens as his guide. With renewed determination, Elion stepped forward, leaving the nebula behind as he continued his journey through the stars, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As Prince Elion journeyed further into the vast expanse of the heavens, the stars around him began to pulse with a rhythm that echoed in his very bones. The celestial staff in his hand seemed to resonate with this cosmic beat, guiding him toward a region of the sky where the constellations were denser, their patterns more intricate. He had passed the trial of the nebula, but he knew that greater challenges awaited him. The stars themselves whispered of creatures that roamed these celestial realms, beasts of immense power, each embodying a different aspect of the cosmos. Elion's breath caught as he approached the first of these creatures. Emerging from the constellation of Leo, a magnificent lion with a mane of burning light stepped forward, its eyes glowing like miniature suns. This was the solar lion, a creature of pure solar energy, its very presence radiating heat and light that threatened to overwhelm the young prince. The solar lion roared, its voice a thunderclap that reverberated through the starry void. Prince Elion, bearer of the celestial staff, you must prove your strength to me. Only then will I lend you my power. Elion tightened his grip on the staff, feeling the heat from the lion's aura pressing against his skin. The task was clear. He had to show that he could withstand the intensity of the lion's solar force without faltering. With a deep breath, he raised the staff, its crystal tip glowing brighter as it absorbed the lion's radiance. The air around Elion shimmered with heat, his skin prickling under the immense pressure. But he held his ground, focusing on the light within the staff, channeling it through his body like a shield. Sweat beaded on his forehead, but he did not flinch. Instead, he met the solar lion's blazing gaze with unwavering resolve. The lion's roar subsided, and the heat around Elion began to dissipate. The creature nodded, its fiery mane calming to a gentle glow. "You have proven your strength, Prince. The light of the sun is now yours to command. Use it wisely." As the solar lion retreated into its constellation, Elion felt a surge of warmth fill him. The power of the sun now coursed through the celestial staff, a source of energy that he could call upon when needed. But he knew his trials were far from over. Elion continued on his journey, and it wasn't long before the stars shifted once more, forming the sinuous shape of a serpent winding through the heavens. From the constellation of Hydra, the Lunar Serpent emerged, its scales glinting with a cold, silvery light that reflected the pale glow of the moon. The Lunar Serpent's voice was a sibilant whisper, its words winding through the air like a soft breeze. "Prince Elion, you must prove your wisdom to me. The moon's light is subtle, illuminating the hidden paths and the truths that lie in shadow." The serpent coiled around Elion, its gaze unblinking and piercing. This trial was not one of brute strength, but of perception. The serpent began to weave illusions around him, images of Astralis in chaos. The sky darkened, the stars fading from sight. It was a vision of the kingdom's potential downfall, and it filled Elion's heart with dread. But Elion closed his eyes, focusing on the staff's cool glow. He remembered Astria's words. The stars were his allies, but also his mirror. The serpent's illusions could only deceive him if he allowed them to. Trusting in the staff, he reached out with his senses, feeling for the true path among the shadows. The illusions wavered, then shattered like glass. The serpent hissed softly, its cold light dimming as it withdrew. "You have seen through the deception, Prince. The light of the moon is now yours to guide your way through the darkness." With the serpent's departure, Elion felt a cool clarity settle over him, a balance to the fiery power of the sun. He had gained the wisdom of the moon, a gift that would help him see through the veils of the illusion that lay ahead. But the final beast was yet to come. As Elion ventured onward, the stars began to pulse with a wild, erratic energy. From the constellation of Lupus, a great wolf with fur of trailing comets bounded into view. This was the Comet Wolf, a creature of speed and ferocity, its movements a blur of stardust and light. The Comet Wolf's challenge was one of agility and courage. With a howl that echoed across the cosmos, it charged at Elion, its eyes blazing with the light of 1,000 shooting stars. Elion had no time to think, only to act. He dodged the wolf's attacks, the celestial staff guiding his movements, allowing him to anticipate the wolf's lightning-fast strikes. The wolf's energy was relentless, a storm of cosmic force that pushed Elion to his limits. But he did not waver, his movements becoming more fluid, more in tune with the rhythm of the stars. Finally, the wolf paused, its breath heavy, a and Elion seized the moment. He raised the staff, channeling the power of both the sun and the moon, creating a balance that calmed the wolf's ferocity. The Comet Wolf sat back on its haunches, its fierce gaze softening. "You have proven your courage, Prince. The speed of the stars is now yours to wield." With the departure of the Comet Wolf, Elion felt a new energy coursing through him, an agility that would allow him to navigate even the most perilous of cosmic challenges. The trials of the celestial beasts had tested his strength, wisdom, and courage, and he had emerged stronger, more attuned to the powers of the heavens. As he continued on his journey, the stars above seemed to burn brighter, their light guiding him toward the next challenge. But Elion knew that he was no longer just a prince seeking to fulfill a prophecy. He was becoming something more, something that the stars had seen in him from the beginning. With the power of the celestial beasts as his allies, Elion pressed forward, ready to face the darkness that awaited him in the realm of the eclipse. As Prince Elion ventured beyond the realm of the celestial beasts, the light of the stars began to dim, their once brilliant glow fading into a twilight haze. The path before him led to a place where the night was thick and impenetrable, a void that seemed to swallow all light and hope. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding gripped Elion's heart as he realized he was nearing the domain of the eclipse, the realm where light and darkness waged an eternal war. The celestial staff trembled in his hand, its glow waning as they approached the edge of the eclipse. Elion tightened his grip, steeling himself for what lay ahead. He had faced the trials of the celestial beasts and emerged stronger. But this was a darkness unlike any he had encountered. It was alive, sentient, and it sought to consume him. Stepping into the eclipse, Elion was enveloped by the shadowy void. The stars above were no longer visible, obscured by a thick curtain of darkness. He could feel the malevolent presence of the Shadow King, the entity that ruled this forsaken realm, lurking in the shadows. The staff's light flickered, barely piercing the oppressive gloom. "Prince Elion," a voice echoed through the darkness, smooth and insidious. "You dare to enter my domain? Do you truly believe that your feeble light can withstand the power of the eclipse?" The voice was everywhere and nowhere, its presence seeping into Elion's thoughts, feeding on his doubts and fears. He could feel the weight of the darkness pressing down on him, trying to smother the light within him. But Elion refused to yield. He had come too far to turn back now. "The light of the stars is stronger than any darkness," Elion declared, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. "And I will not let you plunge the heavens into eternal night." A soft chuckle resonated through the void, and the shadows began to coalesce into a form. A towering figure draped in robes as black as the abyss, with eyes that glowed like embers in the dark. The Shadow King stood before him, a being of pure malevolence, his presence a void that threatened to devour all light. "You are brave, little prince," the Shadow King sneered. "But bravery alone will not save you. The eclipse is eternal, and all light will eventually fade." With a wave of his hand, the Shadow King summoned tendrils of darkness that lashed out at Elion, seeking to bind him in their cold, suffocating grip. But Elion raised the celestial staff, its light flaring as he summoned the power of the celestial beasts. The warmth of the solar lion's fire ignited within him. The wisdom of the Lunar Serpent sharpened his mind, and the agility of the Comet Wolf quickened his movements. Elion danced through the shadows, the staff cutting through the darkness with beams of celestial light. Each strike weakened the tendrils, but the Shadow King was relentless, summoning more from the depths of the eclipse. The battle waged on, light clashing against darkness in a cosmic struggle. "Why fight, Elion?" the Shadow King taunted, his voice like a poisonous whisper in Elion's ear. "Join me, and I will grant you power beyond your wildest dreams. Together, we can rule the heavens." For a brief moment, the temptation tugged at Elion's heart. The darkness was seductive, offering him everything he had ever desired: power, immortality, and the end of his struggles. But as the Shadow King's words wrapped around him, Elion remembered the stars, the light they had entrusted to him, and the hope they represented for his kingdom. "No," Elion said firmly, his resolve unwavering. "I will not betray the light." With that, he channeled all the energy of the celestial staff into a single, blinding burst of light. The darkness recoiled, and the Shadow King shrieked in fury as the light seared through him, banishing the shadows that clung to his form. The eclipse trembled, the balance of light and dark tipping in Elion's favor. The Shadow King's form began to dissolve, his power crumbling under the force of Elion's light. "This is not the end, Prince," he hissed, his voice fading as the shadows receded. "The darkness will return, and you will face it again." As the last of the shadows vanished, the stars reappeared, their light once again illuminating the path ahead. The eclipse had been defeated, but the victory had come at a cost. The celestial staff's light had dimmed, and Elion could feel its power waning. The final challenge was near, and he would need to muster all his strength for what lay ahead. With the Shadow King vanquished and the eclipse behind him, Elion took a moment to catch his breath. He was weary, but his spirit was unbroken. The light of the stars still shone within him, and he knew that as long as it did, he would not falter. Determined, Elion pressed forward, ready to face the Council of Stars and the ultimate test that awaited him. The stars glittered faintly above as Prince Elion emerged from the darkened realm of the eclipse, the weight of his battle against the Shadow King still pressing heavily on his shoulders. The celestial staff, once a beacon of radiant energy, now flickered weakly in his grasp, its power depleted by the fierce struggle. Yet, as he stepped forward, the path before him began to glow softly, guiding him toward a place where the sky seemed to pulse with an ancient, rhythmic energy. This was the summit of the celestial mountain, a sacred place where the veil between the mortal world and the heavens was thinnest. It was here that the Council of Stars gathered, an assembly of the oldest and most powerful celestial beings, each one a guardian of the cosmic balance. Elion had reached the pinnacle of his journey, and he knew that the final test was at hand. As he approached the heart of the summit, the stars above began to shift, forming a circle of light that descended to the earth. Within this circle, figures began to materialize. Beings of pure starlight, their forms tall and majestic, each radiating an aura of immense power. These were the members of the Council of Stars, their presence both awe-inspiring and humbling. Elion stepped into the circle, the celestial staff glowing faintly in his hand. The air was thick with expectation, the weight of countless eons pressing down upon him. The leader of the council, a being whose eyes shone with the brilliance of a supernova, stepped forward. His voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the night sky. "Prince Elion of Australis," the leader intoned, "you have journeyed far and faced many trials. You have wielded the celestial staff with courage and wisdom, and you have proven yourself worthy in the eyes of the stars. But now, you stand before us, and it is time for your final judgment." The other members of the council nodded solemnly, their gaze fixed on Elion. He could feel the intensity of their scrutiny, as if they were peering into the very depths of his soul. The leader raised a hand, and the stars above began to shimmer with a vibrant, pulsating light. "The celestial staff is no mere tool of power," the leader continued. "It is a key to the heavens, and with it, you have the ability to restore balance or to disrupt it. The stars have watched you closely, and now they must decide if you are truly worthy of the power you possess." Elion's heart pounded in his chest. He had known that this moment would come, but the gravity of it now weighed on him like never before. The council's gaze was unyielding, their judgment absolute. He could feel their collective will pressing down on him, testing his resolve, his integrity, his very being. For a moment, doubt crept into Elion's mind. Was he truly worthy of this power? Could he bear the responsibility that came with it? But then, he remembered the journey he had undertaken, the trials he had faced, and the truths he had uncovered. He thought of the people of Australis, of the light and hope they looked to him to protect. The stars had guided him this far, and he could not allow doubt to sway him now. "I am ready to face your judgment," Elion declared, his voice steady, though his heart trembled with the weight of his words. "I will uphold the balance of the heavens, protect the light, and guide my kingdom as the stars have guided me." The council members exchanged glances, their expressions inscrutable. The leader's gaze softened, and he nodded once, a gesture of acceptance. "The stars have seen your heart, Elion," the leader said, his voice gentle now, "and they have found you worthy." As the words left his lips, the stars above flared with brilliant light, and the celestial staff in Elion's hand began to glow with renewed energy. The light spread from the staff, enveloping Elion in a cocoon of warmth and power. He could feel the strength of the heavens flowing through him, restoring him, empowering him. But with this power came a realization. This was not just a gift, it was a responsibility, a sacred duty that he must carry for the rest of his life. The stars had bestowed their trust upon him, and he would honor that trust with every fiber of his being. "Remember Prince Elion?" the leader of the council said, his voice a mere whisper as the light began to fade. "The stars will always watch over you, but they will also hold you to your word. The balance of the heavens is now in your hands." As the council members began to dissolve back into the starlight, the leader gave Elion one final, approving nod before vanishing into the night. The circle of light faded, leaving Elion alone beneath the sky, the celestial staff glowing softly in his hand. But Elion knew he was not truly alone. The stars above, bright and eternal, were with him, watching, guiding, and trusting in the prince who had proven himself worthy. With a deep breath, Elion turned and began his descent from the celestial mountain, the light of the stars illuminating his path. The final trial awaited him, but now, more than ever, he felt ready to face it. The descent from the celestial mountain led Prince Elion into a realm unlike any he had encountered before. The sky above him, once a canvas of twinkling constellations, now churned with shifting patterns of light and darkness, as if the stars themselves were rearranging in a cosmic dance. The air crackled with energy, and the celestial staff hummed with anticipation. Elion knew he was nearing the final trial, the Labyrinth of the Stars, a maze as ancient as the heavens themselves. At the base of the mountain, the entrance to the labyrinth loomed before him, an archway of shimmering stardust that twisted and undulated like a living thing. Beyond it, the path split into countless corridors, each one leading into the unknown. The labyrinth was a test of both mind and spirit, designed to challenge even the most steadfast of hearts. Its walls were formed from the very fabric of the cosmos, ever-changing, ever-elusive, reflecting the thoughts and emotions of those who dared to enter. Elion took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The Council of Stars had deemed him worthy, but now he had to prove it to the labyrinth, a place where the stars did not merely guide, but also judged. He stepped through the archway, and the world around him shifted. The corridor he found himself in was narrow and dimly lit, the walls flickering with faint traces of starlight. As he moved forward, the labyrinth seemed to respond to his presence, the walls shifting and bending, creating new paths while closing off others. It was as if the labyrinth was alive, sensing his every thought, testing his resolve at every turn. The celestial staff glowed softly in his hand, casting just enough light to reveal the path ahead. But as he ventured deeper, the light began to wane, and the darkness around him grew thicker, more oppressive. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the faint echo of his footsteps. The labyrinth twisted and turned, each corner revealing new challenges, illusory walls, dead ends, and passages that seemed to loop back on themselves. Elion soon realized that the labyrinth was not just a physical maze, but a reflection of his own doubts and fears. With each step, the path ahead became more uncertain, more treacherous. Shadows flickered at the edge of his vision, whispering doubts and fears that gnawed at his confidence. "You are not worthy," the shadows seemed to hiss. "The stars have chosen poorly. Turn back now, before you lose yourself." Elion's heart pounded in his chest, the darkness pressing in on him from all sides. But he knew he could not give in. He had come too far, faced too many challenges, to let fear overtake him now. The celestial staff pulsed weakly in his hand, as if struggling against the oppressive gloom. Closing his eyes, Elion took a deep breath and focused on the light within him, the light that the stars had entrusted to him. He remembered Astria's words, the wisdom of the Lunar Serpent, the strength of the Solar Lion, and the agility of the Comet Wolf. They had prepared him for this moment, not just to face the labyrinth, but to understand it. The labyrinth was not his enemy. It was a mirror, reflecting his innermost self, challenging him to confront the parts of himself that he had buried deep. He had to accept his fears, his doubts, and his flaws, for they were as much a part of him as his courage and strength. With renewed resolve, Elion opened his eyes. The celestial staff flared with light, pushing back the shadows that had crept into his mind. The walls of the labyrinth, once shifting and uncertain, now began to solidify, revealing a clear path ahead. As Elion moved forward, the labyrinth no longer seemed as daunting. The corridors still twisted and turned, but now he could sense the pattern in their movements, a rhythm that matched the beat of his own heart. The whispers of doubt faded, replaced by a quiet confidence that guided his steps. At last, the labyrinth opened up into a vast chamber, the walls lined with countless stars that glittered like diamonds against the dark sky. In the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, and upon it, a glowing orb of pure starlight, the heart of the labyrinth, the final key to his journey. Elion approached the pedestal, his steps sure and steady. As he reached out to touch the orb, The stars around him blazed with light, illuminating the entire chamber. The labyrinth had tested him, challenged him to face his deepest fears, and he had emerged victorious. The orb pulsed with warmth as Elion's hand closed around it, and the celestial staff responded in kind, its light merging with the orb's glow. In that moment, Elion felt a profound connection to the stars, to the cosmos, and to himself. The labyrinth had shown him the truth, that he was not just a prince on a journey, but a guardian of the light, a protector of the balance that held the heavens in harmony. With the orb in hand, Elion turned and left the labyrinth behind. The final trial had been passed, but the journey was not yet over. The stars above called to him, their light guiding him toward the final destination, his return to Astralis, where he would fulfill the destiny that awaited him. The path ahead was clear, the stars shining brightly in the sky. Elion knew that whatever lay ahead, he was ready. The light of the heavens was within him, and he would carry it with him wherever he went. With the glowing orb from the heart of the labyrinth safely in his grasp, Prince Elion emerged into the open night. The stars above no longer distant points of light, but old friends watching over him with a kind, protective gaze. The journey had been long and arduous, but now, as he stood on the summit of the celestial mountain, the weight of the heavens felt lighter, as if the stars themselves were helping to bear his burden. Before him lay the final step of his journey, the celestial altar, an ancient stone structure carved from the very rock of the mountain, its surface etched with constellations that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. It was here that Elion would complete his quest, and where he would be transformed into something greater than a mere prince. This was the moment of his ascension, the fulfillment of the prophecy that had guided him through the trials of the stars. The celestial staff hummed with energy, resonating with the orb's light. Elion could feel the power within the orb growing stronger, a concentrated essence of the cosmos that had the ability to restore balance to the heavens. He stepped forward, each stride more confident than the last, until he reached the altar. Placing the orb in the center of the altar, Elion raised the celestial staff high above his head. The stars overhead blazed with brilliance, their light converging on the altar in a cascade of radiant beams. The air around him shimmered with energy, the fabric of the universe bending and folding in response to the celestial power he had awakened. As the light intensified, Elion closed his eyes and focused on the connection he felt with the stars, the constellations, and the cosmic forces that had guided him. He was not just a prince of Astralis, but a part of something far greater, a living thread in the tapestry of the universe, bound by the same light that illuminated the heavens. The light of the stars flowed through the celestial staff, down into the altar, and into the orb. The energy built to a crescendo, filling the night sky with a brilliance that rivaled the sun itself. And then, with a blinding flash, the energy exploded outward, bathing the entire mountain in a halo of pure celestial light. When the light faded, Elion found himself standing in a world transformed. The stars above shone with renewed clarity, their light pure and untainted by the darkness that had once threatened them. The constellations moved with purpose, their patterns aligning in ways that spoke of balance restored, of harmony regained. And Elion was no longer just a prince. He could feel the change within him, a deep, fundamental shift in his very being. The power of the celestial staff had become one with him, the light of the stars now pulsing in his veins. He was the heir to the heavens, the chosen guardian of the celestial balance, charged with maintaining the harmony of the cosmos. As he lowered the staff, now glowing with a soft, steady light, Elion looked out across the horizon. The path he had walked had been fraught with challenges, but it had also revealed to him the truth of his destiny. The stars had guided him, tested him, and ultimately accepted him as their protector. The night was calm, the air filled with the quiet song of the cosmos, a melody that only he could hear. It was a song of renewal, of life continuing on its eternal cycle, and of the endless possibilities that lay within the heavens. Elion knew that his journey was not truly over. There would be other challenges, other trials to face, but he also knew that he was ready. Turning his gaze back to the kingdom of Astralis, far below the celestial mountain, Elion felt a sense of peace settle over him. The light of the stars would always guide him, just as they had throughout his journey. He was no longer alone, for the heavens were with him, their power woven into the very fabric of his being. With the celestial staff in hand, Elion began his descent from the mountain, each step taking him closer to his home, to the kingdom that awaited its heir. The stars shone brightly above, their light illuminating the path before him, a reminder of the journey he had undertaken and the destiny that was now his to fulfill. And so, with the heavens as his guide and the light of the stars within him, Prince Elion, the heir to the heavens, returned to Astralis, ready to lead his people with the wisdom and strength he had gained from his journey through the stars. The prophecy had been fulfilled, and the balance of the cosmos was restored. But the story of the stars and of the young prince who had become their guardian was only just beginning.